start a blog, a couple blogs and stuff. So I've been building my website. So I've just been really stressed, and he doesn't really believe that I could do any of it. So that's kind of been like I don't know. He's like down there. I don't know. We've just been fighting all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before. And
so yeah, there's a few little things, relationship. I don't know your relationship.
I've been married for over 5 years now. So
there's a lot of little things.
Welcome to another episode of Grizzly True Crime. My name is Gisela K, and today this is a tribute to Gabby Petito, who would have turned 23 years old today. I mean, she was so young. I am wearing the Gabby Petito hoodie. This was designed by Panna Puma, who you can find on Instagram, and it is in my merch store if you want to check it out. All proceeds from this range are donated to the Gabby Petito Foundation, and thanks to you, Grizzlies, we've raised well over $3,000 already. And I see that some of you are still buying this. There's hoodies and stickers and phone covers and glasses and all sorts of things for you to choose from. So if you want to grab yourself a piece of merch, in honor of Gabby Petito to wear it everywhere, then the link is in the description box below. So today I thought we could look at coercive control, because we know a little bit now, right, about DV. I mean, some of us have had DV experiences. I thankfully have not had DV experiences, but I definitely have a lot of experience with something known as coercive control. And that is also a form of abuse in a relationship, but it's a little bit more subtle, but equally dangerous and toxic. So I thought we could look at some of the signs of DV together and go over it so that maybe we could just learn something from the situation, because while it is known at this point that Gabby Petito was in a DV relationship and her whole foundation is about raising DV awareness, I do find that there's a lot of signs, as you saw in the clips that I showed before, and the few little snippets that I showed from the Instagram account when I said Brian was controlling the narrative. There was a lot of coercive control, almost for me more coercive control just from an outsider's view than DV going on. So let's have a look at what that really is and how to spot it. So oftentimes in a DV relationship, there would be things such as physical or verbal abuse, which is quite common in those relationships, right? But this more subtle type of abusive behavior is equally harmful and can also end up deadly. Coercive control is a strategic form of ongoing oppression and terrorism used to instill fear. The abuser will use tactics such as limiting access to money, check, we saw Brian do that, or monitoring all communication as a controlling effort. And I do believe that after January 2021, even before they went on their van life journey, Brian had already started controlling not only her social media accounts, but also the narrative. Even if she was going to post, he was controlling the narrative. That's just in my personal opinion, from an outside person's view who's had some experience with these types of relationships. While this form of abuse is illegal in some countries, including the UK, since 2015, it's not considered illegal in the USA unless a crime has been committed. Anyone can experience coercive control, but it's often grounded in gender-based privilege. Between 60 and 80% of women seeking assistance for abuse have experienced coercive control. Here's a look at 12 major signs of coercive control, along with some resources that can help you to get out of a bad situation. I am going to link this fantastic article below. I've read a lot on coercive control, but this article specifically summarizes everything really well. So, number 1, isolating you from your support system. We saw Brian did this with Gabby. Definitely Brian was absolutely isolating Gabby from her friends, from her family, and from everything really, and taking total control of her life. So I do believe that she really wanted to go out there and live the van life and document everything because she wanted freedom. It's just sad that she needed freedom from him, and not just freedom in the world and freedom to travel and freedom from, societal standards or work or something. She needed freedom from him. Have you ever been in a relationship like that or a situation like that where all you're looking for is freedom? And you might find it in some strange forms. However, you really just want to free yourself from the situation that you're in. I've sure been there. A controlling partner will try to cut you off from friends and family or limit contact with them so that you don't receive the support you need, says clinical psychologist Kelly Estes, a PhD, right? Here are a few ways they do this. Suggesting shared phone and social media accounts for convenience. Nomadic static, the Spotify playlist as well. The Pinterest, which even Brian's mother shared with Gabby and Brian. The coercive control, probably, learned behavior, starts at home. Moving you far away from your family so that it's hard to visit them. Well, we saw that. She moved from New York to Florida to be with Brian and live with his family. Fabricating lies about you to others. Now, we don't have too much evidence of that, but possibly yes. Pretty sure he would do that. Monitoring all your phone calls with your family and cutting the line off if anyone tries to intervene. We even saw that beyond Gabby's death, where he was still controlling the narrative. He was still texting between his phone and her phone beyond her death. He was still telling the family where she was and what she was doing beyond her death. That is really scary. Convincing you that your family hates you and doesn't want to talk to you. Yeah, they do that. Completely isolate you from your family and friends. So at the point at which maybe, let's say speculatively, Gabby was experiencing DV, by that time he'd isolated her so much, like it's really hard to then reach out because he's already isolated you. He or she. This could be a male or a female that is doing the coercive control. Number 2, monitoring your activity throughout the day. Abusers pursue coercive control through attempts to make themselves omnipresent. Okay, they do this by wiring your house with cameras or recording devices, sometimes using two-way surveillance to speak to you at home during the day. Wow. So we don't know if Brian did that, but I mean, he sure kept Gabby close. Very close, kind of like on a virtual leash, so to speak. Number 3, denying you freedom and autonomy. Sometimes someone that is exerting coercive control might try to control your freedom of movement or independence. We did see Brian do that. Some methods include not allowing you to go to work or school, restricting your access to transportation. She was at the point where she wasn't even driving her own van. She's like, I don't normally drive the van, remember in the body cam footage? Man, stalking your every move when you're out. Taking your phone and changing all your passwords. You can also see there is an analogy used that I've seen on an interview talking about coercive control that says it's kind of like that analogy of the frog being put in warm water and then the water slowly begins to boil so the frog doesn't jump out. If you were to put a frog in boiling water, it would leap out immediately. But you see, putting it in hot water and slowly but surely increasing the temperature, the frog dies. So that is how a relationship involving coercive control might go. It usually does go that way. You don't notice it. And it's all these little things. The reason I put that clip in where Brian says it's all these little things. I mean, it's very rich coming from him because in coercive control relationships, it really is all those little things. So you might think, am I being ridiculous? Like, this doesn't seem like straight up abuse. This doesn't seem so bad. That's the problem. It's all these little things that stack up over time, kind of like the water slowly boiling. Number 4, gaslighting. The abuser must always be right, and they will force the victim to acknowledge this. They'll manipulate, lie, and gaslight to get their way and convince you that you're wrong. I mean, Brian was so in denial about this huge morning on August 12th that Gabby said they were fighting all morning. She was so stressed. She had a lot of work to do. He said, we really actually had a nice morning. So he's making, that's gaslighting right there. He was gaslighting the cops right there. Number 5, name calling and putting you down. Malicious put downs, name calling, and frequent criticisms are all forms of bullying behavior.
Small, 20, what is she?
Yes, a 22-year-old
22-year-old
blonde
female
hair,
Joe.
blue-eyed Joe.
You could definitely defend yourself against, but I'd say...
Let me have you, Brian!
They're designed to make you feel unimportant and deficient. So we saw that with Gabby, because even in that clip that I just showed now, there's so many that I can show you to really study this relationship and the dynamics of it, which I know is hindsight, but sometimes hindsight really is 2020. And I really feel like we can learn a lot, which is why I think this case means so much to all of us. It's so sad that something as simple as coercive control can end up like this. Because it starts with coercive control, and slowly but surely over time enters DV. And slowly but surely over time that could become a statistic, which I also had on screen earlier. There's quite a large percentage of DV relationships that end in homicide. We've covered quite a few on this channel as well, and we will continue to do so to continue to raise awareness. Now, Brian was making Gabby believe that she couldn't do the travel vlogging, that she couldn't make a website for herself, that she couldn't make a life out of their adventures. And I mean, Brian, I know he's gone, but it's 2020. It was 2021. You can. I mean, for the last decade or more, people have had full-time careers on social media. Of course she could do it. But he needed her to believe very little in herself. He needed her to think that she absolutely couldn't do it, that she could only do what he would approve of. And I don't think he knew how to do it. That's why he says she can't do it. He's projecting big time. And number 6, limiting your access to money. Controlling finances is a way of restricting your freedom and ability to leave the relationship. Some ways they'll try to exert financial control include placing you on a strict budget that barely covers the essentials, such as food or clothes, limiting your access to bank accounts, or using your bank account even beyond her death, hiding financial resources, $20,000 in his account apparently, preventing you from having a credit card, rigorously monitoring what you spend. And I do think that the fights that broke out both at the Moonflower Co-op and then later, unfortunately, on August 27th, the day that Gabby's parents say she died, she was murdered. That day, Brian was apparently, according to the witness, going in and out and in and out and back and forth, kind of as if he didn't want to pay. That's the impression I got. And the reason I also got that impression is because one of the books he was reading from his favorite author, Chuck Palahniuk, is all about this character that goes to restaurants and pretends to choke on the food so that he doesn't have to pay. So I think Brian was so obsessed with that author, I wouldn't put it past him to be having an absolute outburst about something so that he didn't have to pay, which must have been really embarrassing for Gabby to go through. Number 7, reinforcing traditional gender roles. Regardless of the type of relationship that you have, your partner may try to make a distinction between who functions as the man and the woman in the relationship. They'll attempt to justify that women are homemakers and mothers while men are breadwinners. Using this argument, they may coerce you into taking care of all the cleaning, cooking, and childcare. I bet we've all been there, haven't we? We know those relationships, don't we? I myself know it. I was an airline pilot at the age of 21 and flying international routes as a P3 when I was 24. And yet, having my own property, my own car, independence, traveling the world. Oh man, did I get stuck in some incredibly toxic, coercive relationships. Where really, there is that stigma of like, oh, another one has just, this woman is again, it's like another woman out of the kitchen. Women belong in the kitchen. Okay then. So I've really experienced this firsthand. And I honestly think that a lot of us in this Grizzly community, we have this in common. I've identified quite a few things that we have in common just based on all your comments and emails and things. And not only have we been through some stuff, but I really think that we're all fascinated by the dynamics in relationships. If you think of the dynamics between Chris Watts and Shanann Watts, and now we think of the dynamics between Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito, you know what I'm saying. There's certain cases that absolutely grip our attention, and I think it's because we can relate somewhat. So if you are in a situation like this, we are, at the end of this, going to talk about how to get out of it. Now with Gabby, you could see that Brian was the man, and he was going to drive the van that he built, except she beautifully decorated. She probably did all the research for how to build the van that way, she had an equal part in helping him, just based on all the videos we've seen and everything. She was the one taking all the footage, launching the YouTube channel, making the website, but yet she was made to believe that he's the man and he's going to drive the van. She was made to believe that she couldn't live without him, that he was there for her safety. Except at the end, he murdered her. That is a huge lesson. I mean, Gabby's mother said that when she left for the trip, she felt like nervous for Gabby, meaning like stay safe out there because they're going adventuring out in the wild, like just stay safe. But she said she felt safe knowing that Brian was with her. How sad is it that Brian was the danger, the person sleeping next to her at night? Speculatively, I mean, I also assume he might have been sleeping in a hammock while she was in the tent, but we just don't know.
Will it be a hard drive for me to get him in the morning? I'm just curious.
I'm not going to tell you where he's going to be at tonight.
I
Like I said, I want you guys to be separated. But I can tell you this.
I just don't usually drive the van, so I just want to make sure it's not like far.
Number 8, if you have kids, they'll turn your kids against you. Either with the abuser or someone else, they may try to weaponize the children against you by telling them that you're a bad parent or belittling you in front of them. This attitude can create a rift in the relationship between you and your kids and may make you feel powerless. I mean, that's terrible. We've seen that happen a lot, especially in the true crime realm. Number 9, controlling aspects of your health and body. They'll monitor and control how much you eat, sleep, or time you spend in the bathroom. When Gabby was making that muesli the one day, I mean, Brian was pacing up and down, looking at how much she's having, looking what she was doing. I mean, we already analyzed that quite a bit, but absolutely, and like, we don't drink from plastic bottles. We don't drink alcohol. We are vegan, type of thing. So he was, in my view, from what I can see, and I have a lot of experience with this as well, Brian was a radical purist, and he projected that big time on Gabby. Your abuser may require you to count calories after every meal or adhere to a strict exercise regimen. They may also control which medications you're allowed to take and whether you go for medical care or not. Gabby said herself she was undiagnosed, from my understanding, but that she had very bad OCD. When asked did she take any medications, nope, she just did yoga. You know, everything's the natural way. Been there myself, where someone will tell you it's all just do it the natural way. You can't go to see a therapist. You can't take the medication you need. Oh yes, so unfortunately, if Gabby had very bad OCD, she wasn't ever treated for it. Brian would never allow that. I mean, Brian hadn't been to the dentist since he was a young teenager, as we saw from his medical reports. Do you really think that he's going to allow her to go to the dentist, the hairdresser, to really go for her nails? You could see at the beginning of their relationship, there's posts of her on Instagram showing her nails freshly done. Do you think they were freshly done by the end of it? No. Number 10, making jealous accusations. Yes, jealously complaining about the amount of time you spend with your family and friends, both on and offline, is a way for them to phase out and minimize your contact with the outside world. They might also do this in an effort to make you feel guilty. Like when Gabby was going to spend some time with Rose, and Brian took her ID card out of her wallet so that she couldn't go line dancing with Rose. And Gabby realized this halfway, huge fight broke out, and Gabby ended up many times spending a few nights at Rose's place. This is now according to Rose.
Yeah, well, we were supposed to go line dancing. It was ladies' night, and her drive is about 30 minutes to me, and halfway there, she realized her ID was missing, and so it caused a really big argument because Brian just didn't want her to go out, and It was a jealousy issue, and it caused a huge argument between them, and she came over and cried and just talked to me about what happened and told me all that she was comfortable telling me. I do believe that their relationship, as they kept going on, was getting a little, problematic. I mean, just seemed like there was more and more arguments, and everything she did, I feel like, he thought was wrong. And even as she said in the body cam, he didn't even support her with her blog, which that's not what a fiance or boyfriend does. They support you with anything you want to do, and that in itself, made me feel like it just continued to get worse.
Number 11, regulating your sexual relationship. Abusers might make demands about the amount of times you have sex each week and the kinds of activities you perform. They may also demand to take sexual pictures or videos of you, or refuse to wear protection. I can imagine Brian being one of those. We don't know very much about that aspect of their relationship, but I could imagine that if he was very controlling. So if he was like, we're doing this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and if she didn't want to, I could imagine that could really trigger some rage in him. You just don't know. We don't know what happened on the day that he murdered her and why. But it may be as simple as her saying, I'm leaving you, or it may be as simple as her not wanting to have sex with him. We just don't know. And number 12, threatening your children or pets. If physical, emotional, or financial threats don't work as desired, your abuser may try to use threats against others in an attempt to control you. For example, your kids or pets may be at risk. This can look like making violent threats against them, threatening to call social services and say you're neglecting or abusing your children when you aren't, intimidating you by threatening to make important decisions about your kids or pets without your consent, threatening to kidnap your children or get rid of your pet. I can imagine Gabby would have been an animal lover, right? We don't really see her with any pets, especially not since she lived with the Laundries. How weird is it that the Laundries don't have any pets? I'm sorry, this might sound really weird, and no offense intended if you don't have pets, but I don't trust people who don't have pets. You know what I mean? I mean, even though my landlords over time have said, no, you can't have one, I'll do whatever it takes to have one. I will write them 20 emails if I need to so that I can have a pet. You know what I mean? So I don't know your situation. It's just like the Laundries with that house and that garden and everything. And you don't have any pets? What's going on there? What's going on there? Now let's look at how to get out. Coercive control is a pernicious form of domestic abuse that entraps you like a hostage-like situation. Regardless of the history with your abuser, even if it included some happy moments, you don't deserve this treatment. Getting out of an abusive relationship can be complex, even more so if children are involved. But with a bit of planning, you can make a safe exit from the situation. Here's what you can do. Maintain communication with your support system whenever possible. This is important regardless of your abuser's displeasure. You should also make sure family and friends have all your contact information and check in on a regular basis. I mean, Gabby's mom did check in almost on a daily basis. I'm sure that was part of Brian's festering anger or control issues, right? Because she did keep in touch with her mom. And her mom was actually very anxious, very worried about her. That gut instinct was definitely saying something, right? It's actually so sad to think how dangerous coercive control can be. And that is the reason I'm making this video today, because it can be so subtle, so small. All these little things that add up that you start making excuses for people because you're like, well, they're not really violating my boundaries. They're not really abusing me, type of thing. I mean, Gabby said, well, he didn't hit me. She even did this motion. Yeah, but he's coercively controlling you. And in the end, look how it ended up. When she even said, well, he just grabbed my face and then her face was scratched and she said it was burning. She said he just grabbed my face and did the movement, but it wasn't like he was hitting me. You see, it's all coercive control. And even that, as we know, that is a very aggressive move to make, to put your hand over someone's mouth and grab them like that. Yes, so while that might not be in Gabby's mind, possibly, DV in that moment, it's very controlling. He's controlling the whole thing. He's controlling what she says, how she says it. He's showing her, I don't like what you're doing or saying right now. He's telling her, I'm going to get in your van, lock you out, your backpack's on the back. You need to take a breather. You need to do this. Like, he was directing her around all morning that day on August 12th. Imagine all the other times we didn't get to see.
So yeah, there's a few little things, just little relationships we've had. I don't know if you're in a relationship, but I'm sure you've
I've been married for over 5 years now. So.
There's a lot of little things.
Yeah, I can go.
And we've
Call a DV hotline regularly. Keep track of where your nearest public phone is and periodically weigh your options with a professional. Now, I could just imagine how difficult that must be. I like the way they say find a public phone because your partner might check your phone records, of course. So that is actually a good idea to use a public phone, go to a library. Maybe you could go online or an internet cafe type of thing. Then practice how to get out safely and practice often. If you have kids, teach your kids to identify a safe place, such as a friend's house or the library, where they can go for help and how to call the police. That is a brilliant idea. Yes, have a safety plan. When deciding to leave, victims should have a plan regarding where to go and who to stay with, recognizing that the initial period of separation might be the most dangerous in terms of an abuser attempting to reconcile through both legal and illegal conduct. Of course, if you are in immediate danger, the best thing to do is to call 911. If it's not immediate danger, or if you're in distress and you want someone else to call 911, the signal is the hand signal that goes like this. That is you signaling it's a DV situation. Can someone please call 911? So if you see someone doing that, if they're looking at you and they're doing this, rather call. I've seen some people suggest in the comments, what if people start abusing this situation? There's always going to be a small percentage that abuse anything in life. But in general, if 99% of cases using this signal, man or woman, and you call, rather let the authorities go and investigate and hopefully be able to safely intervene and maybe even save that person's life. Well, it is my hope that you are not suffering in one of these types of relationships. If you are, my message to you would be to believe in yourself, to truly believe in yourself. So even if you, in that situation, were to isolate yourself a little bit, take out some moments for yourself in a day just to sit quietly and speak positively to yourself, to just know you are worthy, you are loved, and you can do this, whatever it is that you can do. Start slowly, whether you want to start drawing, make a drawing once a week, and then do it twice a week. And then maybe eventually you'll launch a social media page or an Etsy shop or something. It starts also, you know how coercive control is all these little things that chip away at you? It's also all these little things that build you back up. And I know that you can do it. Grizzlies are fierce. Grizzlies have self-confidence, and that doesn't come from a place of having it just automatically. Oh no, I believe we've all been through a lot, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, a lot of work to build ourselves back up. But I absolutely believe in you. I believe you can do it. I mean, seriously, this YouTube channel of mine is an example of it. It's an example of me finally just taking everything I've been through in life and saying, you know what? I'm not going to care anymore. Who's going to judge me for talking about murder all day, as they say? You want to talk about murder all day? Like, what's wrong with you? It's true crime. It's a genre. 1, it's very popular. 2, I've always been into true crime. 3, lessons. My intention is not to sit and talk about murder all day. That's not the point. It's to cover cases where we can It's to cover cases where you can either learn a lesson from it. I mean, that's mostly my intention, is what can we learn from this? To spot patterns, to see how very wrong something can go when it seems so small, to identify evil in plain sight, and then, of course, also to snark it right up when it comes to those baby boys, like a Brian Laundrie, who have the audacity to think that he can control someone like Gabby Petito. I mean, she was way out of his league. Way out of his league. We all know this. So her empathy for him, her wanting to be like, oh, it's okay. I mean, I'll be with you. You know, she obviously liked him. She fell in love with him by all accounts from what we can see and hear. But she was way out of his league. So the reason I say that is because, yeah, we snark it up when it comes to baby boys like that, or baby girls, whoever. People who do ridiculous things to other people that harm them, that harm themselves, that harm families, and harm so many people. They cause so much pain. So, yes, but the fact is, everything that you see me do on this channel, I taught myself. I'm very proud of it, and I know you can do it too. That's how I know. Coming from a very dark place, which I almost didn't survive mentally, and coming out of that, and just seeing that tiny little light at the end of the tunnel, and just knowing it's going to take a while to even get there, but just to start slowly. It might even start by watching a few YouTube videos, like how to do this and how to do that. I mean, even the notebooks that I've got for you guys, that took quite a few videos to watch and to learn and to design that myself. I'm very proud of that. Designing those covers myself, designing the inside of the book as plain as it is, it's not all that easy. Designing myself. So I know you can do it. Step by step, day by day, just little by little, you can do it. So when all these little things have broken you down, do a lot of little things for yourself to build yourself back up. Okay, I think I've spoken for long enough today. We wish Gabby Petito's family so much love, so much healing and recovery. I mean, today Gabby would have turned 23 years old. So we wish Gabby Petito a happy 23rd birthday. I know she's no longer with us, but I think we can collectively say the Grizzlies have Gabby Petito's back. The Grizzlies want justice for Gabby Petito. And we will continue to have their backs to fight for justice for Gabby. Thank you so much for being here. If you are brand new here, I hope that you'll consider subscribing, that you'll hit the thumbs up so that this episode can get out as far and wide as possible, so that we can inspire others to recognize maybe what type of relationship they might be in. Maybe they can get themselves out of it. Maybe they can be inspired in some way. If you wouldn't mind sharing this episode, there's a share button below, and there's also this little button called clips. If you click that, you can choose a little clip out of this entire video, something that stood out to you, and share that on your social media as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.